Good afternoon. Back in the game with my buddy Brian. I'm not here to take up all afternoon, but I just had a conversation with somebody that led me to believe I need to kind of expand my horizons, the way I think, what I think. And I often like to bring in friends that are also deep thinkers who don't necessarily think in the same direction I am to help me stay on track, because my arrogance will tell me I'm always right. Brian, tell them who you are and what you do. Actually, let me back up. Before anybody in the comment section gets crazy, don't ask Brian any complicated questions about what he has seen. He has a very cool job. Don't ask him any specific questions about it. He'll tell you what he needs you to know.
More or less. Yeah, to give you a very roundabout way, I'm a public servant for the U.S. government. And I actually have I have a job where I look at a lot of people's ideas, new ideas, old ideas. I have to kind of look at it, analyze it, and figure out, is this actually an idea that's new, or is it something old that they've done before in the past? How's that?
There you go. And I normally don't let people get away with being so vague, but it's one of those people who think for a minute will probably figure it out. But thanks for taking time out of the middle of your busy day to jump on with me and help me go through this. Well, one of the reasons I put this is,
of course,
career versus lifestyle. I think I might have made a mistake. One of the things that I have to say is that the world is different, right? I'm 42 and a half years old. You had to make a clear, harsh decision on the lifestyle you were going to live when I really burst out on the scene professionally. As everybody here knows, I do editing, copy editing, proofreading, and I'll show everybody a little of that later. And you had to make a decision to leave your professional lifestyle, leave that blue-collar job, that white-collar job, and embark on something that was almost completely different. And the problem is now I'm seeing more and more people with jobs that were once supposed to be static. You got to be in the office. Being told when they inquire, after I work with them and I'll consult with them for some things, the company says, well, yeah, if you're willing to make some other sacrifices, we can let you do your job online. And nobody asked.
Well, a lot of companies now, they just want their work regardless. If you can get the work that they're paying you for wherever you are, they don't care. Like, we want product A made this way all the time. And if this is on a digital media, all you need is a good laptop and a very good internet connection anywhere in the world. As long as you get it to them by the timeline they want it, by the quality that they want it, they're happy.
Wow.
So I do think that a lot of things has changed. Case in point, we're looking at lifestyle versus career. Let's hit on the topic that is somewhat kind of hot topic by some people's standards. Let's say a woman, she finds her love of her life, but all this time she was in grad school. She's been doing publications. She's got a PhD. So Dr. So-and-so has already built her name. That's the foundation of her career. And so now you get to the point she gets married. Does she change that name that she's built? All those documents that she's published, that's Dr. such and such. Everything that she did from undergrad, running into grad school, running into postdoc, so forth on, she literally built that name. So now, and I do see why some ladies might have an issue where it's like, all right, what do I do? Do I take on the husband's name, or do you keep the name that you built? And this is actually one of those things that you ask yourself for the current generation, because this name that she's built, that's going to be the foundation for what she does from here on out. Now, me personally, if I am lucky to find somebody, I would present it, and I even accept a hyphen. But I actually do understand, being that I've been in academia before, you've built that name, and that's going to be used for you, the foundation for your future progression in academia. Well, I know that some people, if I remember correctly, they did get married and they just kind of did a parenthetical with their old name before in the past. But I was like, could that hurt a search if someone was looking for their documents for stuff that they've done before in the past? I've always wondered about that myself. I don't really know, but that was actually a topic that came to mind a while back, especially when you brought up about lifestyle versus career, because we know that career is a very long process that you have to start building it from the get-go. Like, I don't know about you, Yusef, but for me, when I started thinking about college, I started thinking about it in junior high school. And I was like, all right, so if I go to college, I've been told that and you've heard the mantra before too, brother, if you're smart, you go to school, you get good grades, then you go to college, then you get this degree, then you get a good job working for somebody, you're going to be all right.
Well,
but now I'm older, I may have changed that a little bit.
Well, we got to be careful with that. You touched upon three things that I want to go back to. One, with the woman changing her name, I've seen that happen. Wow. in so many situations. And the issue about changing your name, it's always of paramount importance to a woman who's marrying a man that she loves and respects. You know,
True.
I know a lot of women that said, listen, hey, you're already Dr. So-and-so, don't worry about it. No. We're married now. My name is changing. It's something that women think about that men don't. And by the way, good morning to Art of Becoming More and Reigning Woman, the arguably one of the most awesome people on YouTube. And
shout out to the chat.
I don't know if anybody here realizes it, but the cool thing about YouTube is you can be friends with more than one person at a time. So I have no problem at all saying, listen, go to her channel, subscribe. She's a lot calmer than I am. She's kind of like that cool afternoon tea, whereas I'm more like that morning aggressive shot of fruit juice with all kinds of amphetamines mixed in it. Go to her if you want some relaxing, you know, cool feminine vibes.
Yes,
so,
very cool, very supportive vibes.
Something we also think about is women also think about when I have children, it's critically important that their children, their mother and their father all have the same name for societal value. You know, and those are things we don't think about. However, on the other side, you and I were taught,
yes,
get up, go to school, do the blah, blah, blah. I can't say, even though it has become less and less attainable for financial reasons, I can't think of a situation where that's still a bad idea. And I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack for that.
Hard work is your foundation.
You know, I don't know that I can still tell anyone that even though it costs too much money, I still believe it's worth it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you guys, if anybody wants to go back later to check this out. I've done a few different. My How to Leave America 101 and How to Leave America 202 get me a lot of comments and questions. The privatization of education with Professor Jeremy. Do we need higher education? You can see that 86%. That means a lot of people didn't like what I said. With debt, things like that. Those are things that I hope everybody gets a chance to go back and check out. Excuse me. But
well, also to add to this point, okay, go ahead.
No,
I don't want to break your thought. Go for it. Well, because I really want to do with all those videos. Also, remember your other video with Pat about the blue collar. I think it was it blue collar versus white collar, maybe. Because that was a great. That's a great aspect of it, where you got somebody who started off in college but then went towards blue collar, and it's honestly making a phenomenal income that could rival anything in white collar and upper middle class. And he's in charge. He has complete control of his income and where he works when he works. Because that's one of those videos that really brings a lot of things into debate. Because now you go to college and you get your higher education to further yourself, and if you're chasing after money and freedom, well, he clearly has it with that video, because I think Pat is an electrician, master electrician, maybe. Yeah. And so he is the man. Like, people will come to him with questions. He could probably go on a job site, make tons of money. He could probably just take phone calls from people and make tons of money. He has what most people are looking for, the ultimate control. And yet I'm pretty certain, if I remember correctly, he did it at a fraction of the cost of what all of us have gone through when we go for multiple degrees. So those are the things that really make people nowadays really look at the traditional way of thinking and say, I need to rethink this, because these student loan debts, you can't unload this by way of bankruptcy. It's going to stay with you.
Okay, but now here's where we are with this, though. That career versus lifestyle issue, I believe it's possible to make almost any career a lifestyle, because when I came up, I saw a lot of people, most of them were lying, with this lifestyle of putting a laptop on their lap and in the background you would see the beach. That's not it. That's definitely, if you're going to be out there on the grind, I tell anybody, you need to go back and watch Laptop Lifestyle. You need to go back and watch Laptop Lifestyle, because I had to really tell some people it's harder than working for someone else.
Yes. You may be far away. You have a lot of distractions that can, because like what everyone doesn't know is that I work from home, and I'm here 24 hours, 7 days a week. Where you live is where you work. But like I said previously, any company that you work for, they want their work. If they're paying you for it at a certain time, at a certain quality, they want it. So if you let those distractions get a hold of you, you might find yourself without a job. And if it happens too many times, you're going to build yourself a name for not getting stuff done. So now you might find yourself your income stream drying up because people are like, oh, this person has a tendency not to fulfill their part of the bargain. We pay them for this quality at this time, and they're not doing it. So it's one of those things. I think, like I told people before, before I started working from home, I practiced it for a while. I literally kept practicing it because I was like, all right, this is a little bit harder than what I thought.
Can you, okay, let's do this, because with respect to and I worked in a business, in a business as a financial professional, I understand confidentiality agreements. Can we do this? I'd like for you to sit down, talk to your colleagues about what you can and cannot say publicly. I want you to come back, sketch out how you practice getting a running start, working on your own with a career that most people don't know you don't have to go to an office for. Can you go back, sit down over the next few days, make the phone call, send the emails and say, I'd like to talk about what I do publicly, what's on the off limits list, what's not on the off limits list, because I want to actually, and couch it this way to your colleagues. I want to bring people into our industry.
Very much so. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I definitely can.
Because he has a very cool job. He has a very cool job.
Right. And I want to make sure. I want to make sure that I give everybody a fair assessment of what I do, how I do it, and I want to make sure that I can talk about it in detail, the parts that I want to talk about in detail without getting in trouble. Yeah.
I think that's something that we're going to have to do. We're going to have to sit down and really dig in, and you can tell me ahead of time, and I'll handle the details of making sure people don't try to dig in too hard. It's a balance that I think we can strike because, Brian, you're one of my more interesting. Do you know you have a voice for this?
Hey, many years of being a band student, being able to control the air supply.
This dude has teeth like a military cemetery, like a mouthful of tombstones shining. You need to have your own channel because you've done it. You've seen some things. Have you ever considered that?
Hey, maybe at some point. I mean, I do like to run my mouth and talk to people.
Well, I'm here. I know Reigning Woman is here. If we can help you set yourself up, because I believe in spreading it around. The message tends to be the same, but the messenger is different. And a lot of people don't like me. And that's okay. That's okay.
Come on. You're phenomenal. And a great beard. Come on.
Let me tell you guys something. This is why I need everybody to stop what you're doing right now and click the subscribe button, no matter when you're watching. Subscribe, thumbs up, and all that good stuff. Because instead of trying to be more likable, I just meet more people, and that tiny percent of people who do like me grows.
And as a mistake, sorry, you have an awesome mustache.
Thank you.
But no, this topic is really great, bro, because like I was sitting there thinking about it when you talked about it. I was like, yeah, you start working on your career at a young age and you really progress it on. But at some point you got to wonder, is my career taking over too much? Because, well, if you've been in corporate America, I know you work some long hours, crazy long hours, crazy deadlines. And so you begin to ask yourself, well, if I have a child, will I be able to make it to that baseball game, that basketball game, that football game? Or will I be in the office having another meeting? Will I be on the phone with a client in another part of the world? And so that's when you begin to ask yourself, well, maybe this lifestyle in corporate America is not for me. Maybe my career has taken over too much.
Okay, brother, slow down for a minute. Let's slow down. First off, let's not get it confused. A good chunk of my success is that whole "what if I have a child" thing. Anybody who knows what knows I'm allergic to that. I actually did an article. I got so much private hate mail because I wrote children, narcotics, and liquor. 3 things that I avoided that brought me success.
Hey.
Here's the other part. But it was, for me, it became one of those issues where when I left the financial business, I don't think it was possible to do that. Right now, I know guys in the same business I am that have hired me as a counselor and as a freelance consultant to help their businesses that do the same thing I did, dealing with mutual funds, things like life insurance, which I've talked about life insurance. Please please go back and listen to life insurance if you guys haven't, because all of you need it, especially if you don't know what it is. That's a conundrum, isn't it? If you don't know what it is, you need it more than anybody else. I don't care what your friends told you about. You're old enough or young enough. Go back and watch it. I did a very good chat on it. Here's what I'm going to tell you right now. I got people telling me, look at that, Life Insurance Live. Did that 2 months ago. I'm kind of mad that a lot of people didn't interact with that video more because it was boring. I want to be clear. Talking about investment and insurance, it's not fun. But people think I like lifting weights. No, I don't. I lift weights every other day because I have to get what I want. It's only fun after I get out of the shower, put on a tank top, and see the guns out. That's when it's fun. It's not fun.
You put in the work to get the result you want.
With a hoodie on a treadmill, and it's already hot outside, and I'm mad because I would love nothing more than to go eat an entire half a chicken for lunch, but I can't do that anymore. People don't know. They don't know. But I would always look at it. A lot of my mentors who helped me learn the corporate business, I wish they had been born a generation later because they were stuck. One of my chief mentors who taught me business, I watched him get sick enough to be hospitalized for exhaustion. He had children who all went to Ivy League schools that he put through, that he proudly told people he put through on his own dime. He proudly talked about having a wife whose business was awful. And he financed it every month at a loss because he could and because it made her feel good to have something she could work on her own. It will never be profitable. He felt good knowing that younger people, we're talking years ago when I was a young man, could come to him for quality advice. And he made a chunk of money. He saved a chunk of money. He bought part of an island with his friends, and then he almost dropped dead. He didn't die, almost dropped dead from exhaustion from working so hard. I don't want that life. I had my other mentor who was a hardcore red Republican who we would have lunch once a month, and besides business, he would try to recruit me into his political persuasion. This guy weighed probably 300 pounds, and I guess he thought that by buying his wife another gold necklace, it would stop her from screwing the pool boy, but don't really work that way. And I'm thinking, you got all this money, yet you don't even have time to lay up and watch a movie with your wife after you two get done banging at 3 o'clock in the morning, but you're so fat it probably only lasts 5 minutes. But all your money is supposed to make you feel better. That
brings up that topic where I've heard from some people in certain areas where, well, if you got problems, throw money at it until it disappears. That doesn't work. That's a pipe dream.
Well, here's the thing. That works with things, not people.
True. Like that. Yeah.
Everybody knows I love money. Money is my favorite subject. Money is awesome.
Oh yeah. But it has to be used the right way to get the right effect.
Money is the tool. It's just like a knife or fire. But right now, they could do what Michael Darko, who did the Insurance Live video with me, does. He literally gets to live abroad, dealing with investments in insurance and life insurance with a quality product, and never has to live in one place if he chooses not to.
And that's the flexibility. That's one of the best things that if you can get a hold of for your lifestyle, because think of it. Let's say you got your investment income and you take it to somewhere in middle America. You can live like a king. You could probably start building up a portfolio of freaking property, and that retirement just comes so much closer. But like one of the things you said in one of your other videos a while back, and honestly, this to me is one of the best statements. There's this thing called life. No one's going to make it out of here alive. Right. So yes, you do need to look towards like your life insurance. You do need to really manage your time because we're not going to make it out of here alive. But depending on what you do now, it shows how much time you get to enjoy it. And those are the things that I think are most important. Mm-hmm.
Part of enjoying it is making sure that and this is when you get past certain areas in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When you get to a certain level of freedom, you feel good knowing when I die, they're going to speak my name and smile.
That's your legacy. That's establishing that legacy about when you leave this earth, how will you be remembered? Yeah. Because one of the things, like I was saying, the thing about like even with career, you build a lot of networks, and depending on who's in your life, and they, like we talked about with the name, let's say your children follow your own path. If you've already established a good foundation, oh, we know that name. Yeah, come on in. Or you're such and such son or daughter. Oh yeah, clearly this person Brian has established a great foundation here many years ago that people know to this day. We know you're good. We know you from good stock.
And that's the other thing. It's something that, and I'm going to play the race card. We don't get that a lot.
No, no. And it makes me think about who was the rapper producer Ryan Leslie, as he talked about how he went to school at Harvard and he was trying to find funding for one of his projects, and somebody told him, "Well, why don't you just use your alumni network?" He was like, "I didn't even know I had it like that." Because one of the main points he made in that interview on the Breakfast Club, and he went out there to go check it out. He made a good point. He said those networks really work if you grew up with them and you know how to use them. He was like, "I never grew up with them. I didn't know it existed." And I was like, yeah, that's one of those things, playing the race card again. Not everyone knows that.
I often talk about networking, and one of the things that I use to create networks professionally and socially was creating small groups of mastermind. Is that something you've used?
Say it again.
Mastermind groups.
I'm thinking about mastermind. Small think tanks, more or less.
Sort of. Definitely go back and check out how to build your mastermind group. We don't have powerful networks. I'll give you an example of how it works. I remember graduating my second degree with a guy who was just a regular white guy. What does that mean? His family didn't have any more or less money than mine, went to the same college, so we were probably from the same economic strata. But here's the kicker. Last week of graduation, he seemed kind of bummed out. And I said, "Is there something wrong with your grades?" He said, "Well, no, but I just found out I got this internship that I wanted for an unpaid internship for a year in New York City to learn how a company works." I said, "But that's great." He said, yeah my family won't have enough money to help me get an apartment out there, but my uncle is basically a slumlord, and he said I can live in one of his shitty apartments for free for while I'm in school, and that just sucks because I know it's going to be in a bad neighborhood. Time out. Now, at the time, I didn't understand the significance of the conversation we just had.
Mm-hmm.
First, he could afford to have an unpaid internship because his parents could give him some money, legacy, right? Not all the money he needed. Two, he had a place to live that was going to knock out the single most expensive part of living. He's going to get to start his career not at a negative. I didn't say at a plus. I didn't say with money, but he's going to start out without a negative. Wow.
Yeah, he doesn't start out really in the hole, because I'm going to go out and assume that when he left college, he didn't have too much student loan debt as well.
And I mean, that's such a big deal.
Yeah. Like you start out your career, your work life, like as much in the positive, not in the negative. That's less weight you got to carry, and you can continue to build from there on out. That's the dream you look for when you leave your education to go into your work life. But I do see one thing though, like something that I want to say, shout out to Glendon Cameron. He was the one talking about where your address is. People are going to look at that like, hold on, you live there and you work here? People will kind of raise an eyebrow and look at him. I kind of see where he was probably thinking about, I don't know if I want to be there at that location per se. However, I would say take the opportunity, build it, and as soon as you can, move on to another location. Like, yeah, this is only temporary.
I'll give you guys some free game out of this one. This is something that some of my clients, kind of information my clients pay me for. I tell everybody, no matter where you live, go find a nice affluent neighborhood, go to their post office, rent a P.O. box. The P.O. box doesn't have to have P.O. box on the address. You can actually just put the address to the post office. And instead of using P.O. box, you can actually put apartment number or unit number. It's the same thing. So now you go from living in a place where they're going to say, well, if he lives there, he might be from this class of people. Now you go to, oh, he lives there. We're more likely to hire you because you live in a class of people that I aspire to, or someplace I already live.
There you go. Completely agreed. You want to get the address to help out with the career path that you're trying to work towards. Right. And I definitely see that now. You building that foundation because you're going to progress on, and that's going to establish your starting point. Yeah. Because you'd be surprised the things that people look at when they're looking at you, when they're actually considering you to bring you into their fold.
And that's such a big deal. That's such a big part of it that I'm fortunate because of my career path. As much as I'm complaining about having had to make a decision between career and lifestyle when I was young, now I'm still reaping the benefits of that integration, but not nearly as much as some of the young men who come to me for advice that I'm able to introduce this to. Mm-hmm. So what I say to the people watching right now, no matter what you do, you may have to throw out some of the things that I've said before. You may have to throw out some of the things that I've had to think before as I'm learning to grow professionally as well as I do personally, because professionally I'm a bit of a stick in the mud. I found a system that worked, and I'm very good at reproducing my success in others. But now the game is getting bigger, and I'm able to introduce people to other ways of thinking. Now people who would come to me a year ago saying, well, I want to do this, but still be able to come to Brazil or China where you used to live, I can say, ooh, well, that was going to be difficult then, but now let me dig into my network and I can find someone who does that job over the internet. Now we have people doing medical issues living abroad, medical billing and coding, people doing teleprompter issues, people who do primary care intake interviews over the internet. So when your grandma has a pain in her arm, you can just pop your laptop open, call your healthcare network. The person who answers and says, good afternoon, Mrs. So-and-so. Okay, you're having this pain. I'm going to get all this information, so by the time you go to the hospital, the doctor already has it. But what you don't know is that she simply had a soundproof bedroom in her apartment in downtown Shanghai.
There it is.
Well,
as long as you have the hardware and internet connection, the world is your playground all over. As long as you have the right ways to communicate and connect to people, there's no limit to it.
I tell people one of my favorite analogies that I built up, but I got to go here for a minute. I wish I could stay on and chat with you, but I'm going to leave you with an analogy as I show everybody who I am. And by the way, anybody who knows me knows I'm the same person everywhere. This is who my real name is. I want you to, before I give you guys this analogy, go catch me on LinkedIn. And I don't want you to read my resume first, even though it's nice. I want you to go down. I want you to look at, where is it? I want you to look at my recommendations, and I want you to look at the other professionals all over the world who will tell you who I am, what I'm capable of, and basically how awesome I am. From everything from writing resumes to reviewing books, editing, copy, all those things. If it has to do with anything communicated in the English language, I'm that guy. Here's the analogy I give. I think 1,000 or so years ago, there was probably an ancestor of mine who had something big and sharp. Now, maybe it was an axe, maybe it was a sword, maybe it was a spear. And he threw it over his back, and he traveled the earth, making his fortune however he could. Maybe he righted wrongs. Maybe he was the wrong, need to be righted. Then, a couple hundred years later, closer to today's timeline, I probably had a relative who had a rifle. Threw it over his back, traveled the earth. Righting wrongs, maybe being the wrong and need to be righted, who knows? Today, I can take this computer, throw it in a backpack, throw it over my back, and go anywhere in the world and earn. Righting wrongs, putting smiles on the faces of young women, making great connections like people with you. Is it not an amazing time to be? I wonder if this is how people felt like when, I don't know. I don't know if this has ever been another time, because in other times in history, people didn't know that they were living in an amazing time. They had to we found out later.
True. Because in my youth, basically the flexibility and mobility, it never made sense. Also look at who raised us. We were raised by our parents and the older generation that, well, you need to stay in this area, buy a house here, and just set your roots here. No, you can take your plant, put it in a pot, and take it anywhere you want. Nourish it with anything there. Water from here, from Brazil, from the Rockies, from West Coast of the U.S., all the way to anywhere in the world. You have no limits.
Brian, you promise you're going to come back and we can get into that cool stuff you do, right?
Of course. I will do my part to figure out what I can say, how I can say it, and just make sure I don't get myself in trouble.
Hey, everybody, thank you for taking time this afternoon to chat with me. Make it a point to share this somewhere. Share it on your LinkedIn, your Instagram, your Facebook. I tell people, put a link to this on their Tinder profile and say, listen, if we both swipe right on each other, after we do the deed, we might have some time to have a discussion. Can we have an intelligent discussion the way that the guys on this channel do? You'd be surprised.
Hey, you got more great conversations.
Hey, BM, thank you for popping in, brother. All right. I hope everybody has a great day. And let me do one quick bit of housekeeping.
Shout out to the chat. Hope you enjoyed the conversation.
Bye-bye. And the cool thing about this is